Hi everybody and welcome back to the Girly Girl Bookworm. So today I have my Rainbow Readathon wrap up. I'm surprised that I'm even able to film this because if you've watched my past videos, you know that I got my wisdom teeth out on Wednesday. So this is the first day where I kind of feel somewhat normal. Because even yesterday I felt ridiculous. What side is it on? This side. I feel like Godzilla. I'm turning green here. I'm bruising a little bit, so that didn't help. I didn't swell too much, so that wasn't really the problem. Well, no, that was the problem. I didn't like the swelling either. I mean, I'm still a little bit, but it is what it is. So I'm excited that I'm able to film this for you. Um, I read 6 books this week, I think, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6.5 books. Because I couldn't finish the one that I started yesterday, which was a disappointment, but with Father's Day and things like that, there was no way I was finishing it. So I'm gonna kind of go in backwards order. I'm gonna start with a book that I hauled, and then I'm gonna go backwards through the week, and then I'm gonna talk about 2 books that I read before the readathon that I should have wrapped you up on, but I didn't. So the book that I hauled, it was the day that I got my wisdom teeth out. My dad was going to Target to get my prescription, and while I was completely still half asleep / gauzed up in my mouth, I was like, "Can you buy me a book?" And I listed 5 books that were potentially at Target that I wanted him to get me. Even though I was totally on a book buying ban, I don't know why I let him do that. And he got me The Rumors by Ellen Hildebrand. I love Ellen Hildebrand, and this literally got released, I think, the day before I got my wisdom teeth out. So that was really exciting, and it's a Target exclusive, and it includes an exclusive bonus chapter. So I'm excited. I'm probably going to possibly bring this on vacation with me when I go to Disney next week. I leave a week from today. I leave on Monday. So this might be coming with me. And I love this cover. It's so beachy and fun and bright, and I'm excited. I love Ellen Hildebrand. Now, the book that I am currently reading is Plus One by Elizabeth Fama. I'm over halfway through. I only have this little bit left. This was my Violet book. I'm not really feeling this book too much. It's interesting, but there's really not a lot of world building. I went into this completely blind. I did not read the synopsis. And I don't understand the world whatsoever. You're in this world, and there's day people and there's night people. Don't understand why there's day and night people. There just are. They haven't really explained it. It sounds like there was a disease, so that's why they forced it into that. And this girl, she's a night person, I believe, and she's about to break her curfew or something because she wants to go kidnap her brother's baby to give her the baby to her grandfather who's dying and then bring the baby back. It's very weird. I don't understand. And because of that, it causes a whole bunch of issues. And it goes back and forth between her in the past when she was meeting this boy and talking to this boy, and then now when she's stealing this baby. So I don't really understand it, and I think this is a standalone. I don't think this is a series, so it should be interesting to see how it wraps up. As of right now, I'm just kind of not feeling it. I read Evanescent by Andrea Buchanan. This was my indigo book. It's kind of bluish, purpley. I don't know. This is the sequel to... Yeah, I'm going to get it wrong. Evanescent. No, this is Evanescent. I'm stupid. Everlast. And I by accidentally read Everlast and then Infinity before this one, and this is the second book. It's so stupid because this says other books by this author, Everlast and Infinity, so you would automatically assume that this is the third book, but really it's the second one. So I read the first and the third one, and I never thought I was going to get to this one, but I figured if I had to read it, now was the time. This would force me into reading it, so that way I could at least say I finished the series. And I gave it 2 stars. There's just something about this series. It's a fairy tale, kind of retelling that these kids fall into a fairy tale, and they're part of this world now, and people are out to get them, obviously. And I just can't do it. It's a big snooze alert for me. I fall asleep reading it. It's just not entertaining to me. I don't know why. I just don't understand the concept. I just don't get it. I just don't like it. Don't like it. I also read Mila 2.0 by Deborah Drizza. This is the first book in, I believe, a trilogy. I think the third book comes out like next year. I kind of like this book. It's about this girl, and one day she kind of finds out that she's an android, and she didn't realize it. I hope I didn't just spoil that. Kind of did. But, like, you find out pretty relatively quickly. I mean, you could almost tell just by looking at the cover. Sorry. I don't know. It had me going. Like, I kept reading it, but I wasn't really, like, loving it. So I gave it 3 stars. It was alright. I think I would continue on. It was another thing where, like, the world just doesn't make sense because they didn't really explain it very well. Now, the one book that I loved... Oh, yeah, that was my blue book, in case you couldn't tell. My green book, which my boyfriend decided to point out that it's actually probably green. Not green, it's probably blue because it's a sky, but I always thought it was like seafoam green. This is called 100 Summers by Beatrice Williams. Loved this book. I gave this book 5 stars, and I haven't really given any books 5 stars this year at all. So I really enjoyed this. This was just a very easy, lighthearted historical fiction. It takes place in the 30s, and it follows this character named Lily. Let's call her Lucy. And it goes back and forth between 1931 and 1938. 1931 is when she is friends with her friend Budgie, and she meets this guy that's basically going to be the love of her life. And that's kind of the storyline that follows. And then the other storyline is 1938, and it also follows Lily, but it's obviously in the future, and Budgie and the love of her life have just gotten married. And they always, like, beach in Rhode Island in the summer. And, of course, who turns up? Budgie and her love of her life. So things ensue, and I really enjoyed this. Like, I would love to read everything that this author has written. It just seems like it would be really fun, and I loved this book. It is quoted by Ellen Hildebrand, and obviously you saw I held a book by her. I love Ellen Hildebrand, so that's what really convinced me into buying this book without really knowing what it was about. And I cannot wait to get my hands on more of her books. I read Yellow, Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. I went into this one completely blind. I think I went into most of these completely blind. Did not like this at all. I think I gave it like 2 stars just because I was able to read it all in one day. So that meant it had to be somewhat decent enough to keep my attention. But it was awful. Awful. I was expecting a bookstore, because it's called the bookstore. And it does have a bookstore, but it was so technology driven that it drove me nuts. I was like, if you say Google one more time, I'm going to smack you. Like, this very, like, computer driven and technology driven, and I didn't like that mystery at all. So 2 stars for Mr. Penumbra, which is interesting because everybody loves this book, but for some reason it's not what I was expecting, so it's not what I wanted at all. My red book was A Reliable Wife by Robert Goulrick. Like, before I even got my wisdom teeth out, I finished this book, and then my orange book during Monday and Tuesday, and then I got my wisdom teeth out Wednesday, and, like, that was the rest of the books after that. But this was a historical fiction about a girl. She answers a newspaper ad of a guy who wants a reliable wife, and she really is just going to marry him so that way she can murder him and get his money. And to be honest, I think I gave this one 3 stars as well. I wasn't really crazy about this book. Like, I feel like so much more could have been done with this book that wasn't done with it. Like, just like the way the character handled, like, he finds out, and like that says it kind of at the end, like, he had a plan of his own. So I always knew that he was going to find out that she wanted to kill him, but like his reaction to it was just very like weird. It didn't make any sense. Because then it says like, oh, he has a plan of his own, but like it wasn't very as sneaky and suspenseful as it was saying. Like, the whole back says like a thrilling and juicy read, a real page turner, a good to the riveting end, suspenseful, jam-packed with delicious twists and turns and surprises from beginning to end. I think there was like one surprise. One. Maybe two. And that was it. And like that one surprise didn't come until like halfway through. So, to be honest, wasn't a huge fan of this one. It was just subpar. Like, it was good. I was able to read it. It was fine, but not my thing. The very first book I read was Orange. That was before I decided I probably should go in color order. And I read Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I read this all in one day, which is funny because I was so, like, intimidated by this font. But I was able to read this whole thing in one day and then, like, half of this book. I had all of this book except 90 pages read in one day. So I read this whole book plus everything but 90 pages in this one. Like, so this one was good. I gave it 4 stars. Everybody really knows what this is about. This game creator dies and he sets up this egg and he in one of his video games, and he's like, you need to go find it, and whoever wins it wins my company and wins like $1 million trillion. Not really, but like a lot of money. And so we follow this one boy character, and he is trying to win this prize money. He's very poor, and so he's very much trying to get this money, which everybody else is too. This obviously has a lot of 80s references in it. Everybody says that. And being born in the year 1990, I was 1 year shy of being an 80s child. I didn't 100% get all the 80s references and things like that. And just like the technology side of it. I just don't like technology. I think that's the thing. I just don't want to read about technology. But other than that, it was fun. And like once it really got going into like finding the egg, that's when it got really exciting for me. The beginning, like the building up, like this is the background story, that was kind of boring to me, which is funny because that was like what's missing from a lot of those books is the background story. But once it like really got going, I really enjoyed it. So I gave it 4 stars. Now, before the readathon, which was Sunday, I finished Finale, and then from the week before, I had been reading Silence. So I have finally finished the Hush Hush. Cannot talk today. The Hush Hush series. I gave Silence 3 stars. Still pretty boring. It was hard to pick up after reading Crescendo like 2 years ago. So that was kind of the difficulty about picking this one up. But then Finale kind of picked it up again, and I gave it 4 stars. It's one of those series that, like, really people love to hate and hate to love kind of thing. Like, it wasn't the best series in the planet. I kind of almost wish it was literally, like, book 1 and book 4. Like, the middle ones kind of just didn't add much of anything other than, like, little things were revealed along the way. But I'm glad that I finished it, especially because I like these covers. These covers are really neat, and they look really nice up together, so that's exciting. So that's another series that I have officially knocked out. I love knocking out series. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you read during this readathon, and